It's Wednesday, September 30th, and today I talk with Bruce Harple, the VP of Delivery for ThreeWill, and we talk about how enterprises can support the needs of business units to innovate using the Power Platform. I hope you enjoy. Hello and welcome to the ThreeWill podcast. Today I've got Bruce Harple here with me. Bruce is the VP of Delivery and the man who keeps it all together for us. Bruce, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Danny. How are you?
I'm doing really well, really well. It's actually, we're at the end of the quarter, so everybody's trying to get their podcasts done. So they're all queued up for us here. So, but it's wonderful to have everybody's input and to catch up with everybody at least once a quarter. It's good to be able to do. So, what are we talking about today?
Yeah, so today what I want to talk about is building line of business applications.
Nice.
And how customers can leverage the Power Platform to help them do that.
Nice. Yeah, that seems to be the Power Platform has really come along over the last couple of years. So I'm excited to learn more. This is how I'm going to learn more about it. So that's great. Let's get started.
Yeah, so what I wanted to do is just kind of talk about the need that we've seen, probably for the past 10, 15 years, where enterprises, really struggle with supporting the needs of business units to kind of innovate, deploy the solutions that will advance their organizations, right, and really to have a greater impact on the business. And that the challenge has always been that the backlog of requests for IT organizations in these big enterprises is huge, right, and IT really tends to they have to tend to focus on big enterprise-wide initiatives, right, and I think the smaller business unit requests, the business unit needs, for smaller applications that are real specific to a business unit and real specific to needs they have within that business unit, they have a hard time fulfilling those needs. And even for us, Danny, at ThreeWill, I mean, back in the early 2000s, we figured out early on that SharePoint, the on-prem version of SharePoint was this amazing platform for rapidly building applications. We realized, there was a built-in schema in SharePoint. There's this thing called a list. Guess what a list is? It's rows and columns. Guess what rows and columns are? A relational database. It has a built-in UI. So when I establish a site, I get a built-in user interface. Might not be the best and the most beautiful user interface in the world, but it's there. I got built-in security, and I can easily extend the application, right? And, with that on-prem version of SharePoint, I mean, Danny, over the years, we've built many line of business apps. From generating price cards for a large mobility enterprise to managing marketing development funds for large manufacturers, to PMO portfolio management, managing customer experience feedback, managing investment portfolios. I mean, the list goes on. We've built so many applications on that platform, and the beauty of it was we could do it really fast.
And
that was key. And now, what Microsoft has done, right, is they've kind of moved to the cloud, right, and now everybody's moving to the cloud. Either to Microsoft 365 or obviously Azure as well. Microsoft's got this platform, that they've introduced called Power Platform. And they'll tell you, that their target user for that platform, they call them citizen developers. Right. So a citizen developer could be, a business analyst or someone that's, got some tech savvy, capabilities, some good curiosity about technology, but someone in the business unit, that can really build their own apps. They can build their own workflows, their own reports, their own dashboards, even build their own virtual agents, these things called chatbots that we've all seen when we go to websites. So, this Power Platforms, introduced a whole nother way to build applications, build workflows, build, business intelligence reports and dashboards, without quote unquote, right, getting a developer involved. So pretty cool stuff.
So this hits on a lot of topics that I think we've discussed before in the past, sort of like the whole idea around some people typically start off with like using Excel to mock up some application. You were talking about SharePoint lists earlier. And then, talking about like the power user and how to really give the power user the tools that they need to deliver these Now, for folks who may not be familiar with line of business applications, this is something that we typically like to look at as gives your business some sort of competitive edge,
Right.
where it's not, you don't have like a standard process. And so a lot of these are for, they get into like vertical types of like solutions that they can go in that direction, or they could take a horizontal process that you have, and maybe there's something unique about that process. So you were talking earlier like about price cards, and we wanted to enable the collaboration of price cards and how it's distributed and controlled.
Right.
So and these are they end up being really important types of applications, and giving the business users the capability of building these things. It's great that we're able to do this. um,
Yeah, in fact, Dan, you mentioned Excel, right? Excel. We've always talked about Excel as kind of the Swiss Army knife for business units,
yep.
right? Because you can do anything and everything with Excel, right? It's just an amazing tool, and we've seen many examples of things and business processes that people are automating through Excel. It's amazing. But and what they do with Power Platform too, with some of these tools, you can you can build an app, a Power app, from an Excel spreadsheet, right? So you can
Okay.
then take all the data that's being updated in this Excel spreadsheet that who knows, maybe you're emailing it around from person to person. Maybe you have it office online, so maybe multiple people can go in and collaborate in it. But it's a spreadsheet, right? But you can layer a Power App on top of that, and now you've got this user experience that hides Excel and lets you perform kind of CRUD operations. Create, read, update, delete operations on a spreadsheet. And I can take that spreadsheet and pull it into Power BI, and man, there, it's an endless amount of things you can do once you're inside Power, BI, as far as taking the data in that spreadsheet, creating pivots on it, having different visualizations, later on top of that, being able to slice and dice, the data there. I mean, just even something simple like an Excel spreadsheet. Now you can take that and multiply the power of the data in that spreadsheet.
Nice. Is this, I guess, like a building out? I've started to get into some of the Power Automate things, because I've been using like if this then that, or Zapier, or different sort of. I used to call them like glue, like a lightweight integration types of products, and I've got it right now where a lot of the to-dos that I have that are coming from different places, I sort of aggregate them all together and sort of set priority. And it's very easy for you to, again, it's, I guess there's no coding involved, so I can figure it out.
Yeah,
It's
no,
really, it's
it truly is no code, Danny.
yeah,
And it's certainly you can get deep and you can get more complex if you want, and you can get down to a coding level depending on the complexity of the application. But it's designed to be no code. That's the idea. And there's Power Apps, which will generate browser-based applications, well, which you can deploy on any kind of device as well. There's Power Automate, which you referenced, which is kind of workflows, right?
yeah.
There's Power BI, which is reporting and dashboards, and Power Virtual Agents, which is kind of creating those chat bots. And it and so really, if you look at the platform, right, and the way Microsoft has built this, is under the covers. There's these core elements that really especially drive Power Apps and Power Automate. Those are really the two things to kind of build applications and automate things, right? Automate workflows. And if you think about when I was talking about SharePoint, you kind of had SharePoint lists, and you had this built-in UX, you had security built in and things like that. Well, so underlying, this whole platform are there's three key elements. There's data connectors, there's something called a common data service, and there's something called an AI builder, right? And so these data connectors, that lets you kind of connect apps and data devices, from in the cloud, right? And it's a lot of wrappers around system APIs, that allow you access to that data in these other systems, right? And these would be systems outside of maybe the Excel spreadsheet you're working on, or maybe you create a relational database through this common data service. But it lets you provide, it lets you perform kind of CRUD operations on, outside data, right, external data, as well as, services, against those systems. So for example, there's connectors that will connect to Twitter, right? So I can consume Twitter feeds, I can write Twitter feeds, or there's connectors for Salesforce, right? So I can reach out to Salesforce through their APIs, through these built-in connectors, and request certain services and actions to take place. So there's, a lot of built-in logic, and there's probably by now, I'm sure, over 300 connectors, already pre-built that will connect to all these different data sources, right? And you don't have to do anything other than consume the connector, and it'll tell you all the services that are available for those connectors.
Yeah.
So there's kind of the no-code, right, aspect of it.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I ended up, I like, and as much as I would love to completely use Microsoft To Do, I still have issues with it. So I still use like Todoist, which is, an alternative, but I can use Power Automate to basically get things over into it, and I connect it up to it, and I'm able to do a lot of things, aggregate things there and really use it as just complement what Microsoft 365 does. This reminds me, and I haven't gotten into this yet, but I know with like SharePoint lists now, they've sort of remarketed it as Microsoft lists. Have you seen any of our projects using that yet, or anybody starting to look at that? And I'm not sure if I know the difference between whether it's just a rebranding or what it is. Have you looked at that at all?
Yeah, I personally have not looked at that yet, Danny. So I've been focusing more, trying to dive more into the Power Platform and understanding the capabilities there, and really kind of how our customers can leverage Power Platform, and really how we can leverage it, kind of on behalf of our customers as well.
It's like Microsoft is probably an alternative way of doing it that has so much overlap with it, but
and that's the thing with these platforms. Microsoft, there's multiple platforms that you can use for application development. So you can start with Power Platform. As you move up kind of the complexity level, then you might get into a SharePoint application, and as it gets further complex, it gets highly transactional. Then you're probably looking at building an app in Azure, right, and consuming Azure services to really manage that whole app. Mm-hmm. So there's kind of these stepping stones you go through depending on what you're trying to accomplish. But really for your typical line of business application, Power Platform is going to meet those needs. I don't know, 90% of the time.
Yeah.
The other.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say the other two, kind of key components of this whole platform are, something Microsoft calls their common data store, and which is really kind of a database as a service, right? It's a no-code relational database in the cloud. And you can actually apply business logic. You can embed business logic and business rules inside that database. At the data and entity level, it's managed and secured by Microsoft. And they have a starting set of, if I'm building an application, they have a starting set of base entities already built in. For an example, they're going to have a customer entity, an order entity, an invoice entity. So, a lot of that basic data modeling that you need to do, there's a set of out-of-the-box entities that you can start with, and you can extend them, right? You can take an existing entity and extend it, or you can create new entities as well. But it's all managed by Microsoft, in the cloud, right? Again, no code. I don't have to write any code.
So what are we doing? What are we, as ThreeWill, as a Microsoft partner, how are we helping our customers take advantage of this? Are we helping them, sort of come up with the first version of the line of business app? Are we I know with some of the stuff we're probably, once they hit, it's like everything. If it's no code, you're going to hit edges eventually. And sometimes you can get 80% there, but then there might be something that you're not able to do. So maybe they need our help to do that. Or what have you seen so far as like how we're helping customers actually take advantage of that platform?
Well, so let me start with this part, Danny, to answer that question. Let's talk about first, what can an enterprise do, right, to consume Power Platform? So there's things that an enterprise can do essentially without three will, right? And so the kind of things that we're seeing customers do, right? And we would encourage people to do this, especially to enable and empower, those line of business users who want to innovate. Because
Yep.
we're seeing more and more line of business users, they want to innovate. They want to solve their own business problems.
Yep.
And with this kind of technology, they can do that, right? So some of the things we're seeing, organizations do is we're seeing like the IT organization, create a small and agile, kind of power platform team, right? And
Okay.
someone that they anoint as the power, the power platform champion, right? It tends to be somebody inside IT that's really going to be the person that's really going to stay on top of the platform, because the platform, just like everything else in Microsoft Cloud, it's greenfield and changing every day.
Yeah.
And Microsoft's advancing those capabilities, and you want somebody that can stay on top of that, right, and understand everything new that's coming out, so they can then share that with the rest of the organization. But that's kind of a small core team, like a seed team. And then what we see people doing is it's really kind of creating an overall power platform, really kind of an overall adoption and change management strategy and plan, and just an overall innovation program, right? So really looking at how do we encourage innovation out there in those line of businesses. And then even we're seeing customers create innovation centers, right, to encourage business users to kind of come together and collaborate and share innovation stories. And then this core team inside of IT can support all those people, right? They can support the business units. They can help them and consult with them. But it's all about really trying to empower those business users and really encouraging those business units to develop what we call, and we talked about this even in the on-prem SharePoint days, of how to empower users,
Yeah.
right? So you want to kind of create those power platform users in the business units, right? Who really will be the ones to drive innovation inside those business units. So there's a lot that your enterprises can do on their own to really put a framework and to get a culture and process in place. Because it's really about supporting innovation and letting the business units do more, but giving them the guidelines, even maybe obviously putting governance in place around that too, right? But empowering them.
Yeah.
And then to kind of get to your question, Danny, how can three will help? Well, I mean, so we can help is, we can help develop an organization's, what we call an innovation strategy and roadmap. Because people want to innovate. I mean, obviously IT people innovate. We love to innovate, but I'm telling you, business people want to innovate.
Yeah.
And you should have an innovation strategy and roadmap to enable that innovation. We can help, pull that roadmap together. And
Nice.
we can help. I talked about having that power platform, adoption and change management strategy and plan. We can help build that, and we can actually help execute that plan. Um, and we've been involved in helping coach, power platform champions and those power users. So we can be, kind of play a coaching and advisory role, as you kind of, get this foundational groundswell of excitement about innovation. We can help, coach and mentor people. And certainly we can co-develop these line of business solutions, right, to help get people started. So those are the ways that we can kind of, get in and help, because it's about innovation.
Yeah.
It's about enabling innovation. And with this platform, you can do that. An enterprise can do that. And we're seeing it start to happen. And man, we would encourage people to look at the platform, because it can have a significant impact on your business and on the lives of the people in these business units who are wanting to innovate.
Yeah. And I spoke about this the other day when we were on a call with a client, which was, I'm seeing us more and more playing this role, which is, being a catalyst within the organization to help them to drive maturity around the platform, because it's really about sort of like, and it's somebody from the outside coming in who's able to give them both the right strategy and help with the first couple of steps, so that they're not missteps either, and just coming in and acting as that catalyst. They're like, I've got, and it's overwhelming the number of services that are out there. And so it might be that having an outside organization sort of provide clarity and to build out what is that roadmap based upon the specific needs for that client is a great service that I think, something I've seen us do for many years, and it's become even more important nowadays with the amount of the idea was yesterday. The idea in past years was like trying to take advantage of everything you could out of SharePoint in the 3-year life cycle. Now it's like it's the
Right.
3-day life cycle. It's like, how do you get the most out of Microsoft 365 based upon what came out last week? So, but I think having a catalyst to come in and help out with that, I think, is really important as well.
Absolutely.
What other stuff? What else? Anything else you want to hit beyond that?
No, I think we covered the core things I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to continue to talk about this. We talked about, I drew a little bit in the Power Apps last time we talked, Danny.
Yes.
I want to kind of continue conversations around the Power Platform because I think there's phenomenal opportunity with it. I think it provides a great foundation to enable innovation inside enterprise. And, certainly we'd love to be part of helping customers consume this and be those catalysts, as you said, in the organization to help drive and sponsor innovation.
You'll like that one of the keywords on the new version of the website is the Power Platform. So I give you props, and everything's, we got it organized underneath there. And I'll be working with you for the ultimate guide to the Power Platform. It's coming.
There you go.
It's coming. We're just building the content right now. Well, thank you, Bruce. I know you've been busy. Thank you for staying on top of this and just sharing what you're learning as we go along. And also, I think it's great you're involved in most, if not all, the project here at Three Will. So I really value what you see going on as well with clients and where we're able to help out. So I appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Absolutely. Always enjoy talking, Dan.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Work Together Better podcast. We're available on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you're looking for a partner to help you craft a modern digital workplace on the Microsoft Cloud, please come by and see us at threewill.com. That's the number 3 spelled out, WILL.com. Thank you and have a great day.